Good afternoon. Hope you're all well. Just make sure the decibels are up. So hopefully you'll be able to hear me okay. So let's get over to YouTube. So good result, Man United 2-1 to Tottenham, cash out, and Man U get a late equaliser. If you did lay Tottenham at 1.06, you're an absolute genius. Wish I'd got on. I was too fixated with my profit. But that was a wonderful performance from Man United again. 2 more goals. Really good trading side. So let me just get to the video. Sorry about this. So let's start again. Videos and then live. That's the one. Just make sure everything's working okay. I'll get there in the end. So if you can see and hear me okay, if you could just sign in. Yeah, thank you very much, Stephen. And thank you, Paul. So hopefully you're seeing and hearing me okay. And already we've got a goal before half-time by Leverkusen. The Cagliari goal has been disallowed. What a pity. That would have been a really good trading angle with Como in such hot form. Or difficult to beat at least under Cesc Fabregas. So that's a pity. That would have been a nice opener for today. So just clear this up. Just going to keep these apps up so we can dip in now and again to any particular matches which are on. Don't forget, in the Bundesliga today, all of the teams are very strong odds-on favourites for over 2.5 goals. So just beware of that today. We might see an avalanche of goals. It is post-Champions League, pre-international break, so one or two of these sides are going to feel the fatigue and the distraction. Likely to be the big boys. So Bayern Munich might be under a little bit of pressure today from Union Berlin. Not on paper, but perhaps. Südtirol and Carrarese, you can see the reaction to the red card. It's a pretty good one. Red card coming in the 14th minute, and they're just one shot on, and momentum is rising. 2 shots off, and all the corners have come after the red card. So keep an eye on Südtirol Carrarese. Half-time market would be the value. Dip your toe in, lay the draw, or back Carrarese, or back 0-1, just to have an interest in case they convert. Hello, Michael, from the Algarve. Very nice play, Michael. Hope you piled in the lay of Tottenham at 1.06. That would have got you a very big sombrero in the Algarve. That's for sure. So nice to see you, Michael. So Südtirol Carrarese. We'll have a look at that. There we go, 2-2 winning, even though I didn't predict 2-2. Südtirol and Carrarese. So your options, if you fancy them, don't forget we're going to the lower tiers and it's a little bit illiquid, as you can see there. I would be interested in a 0-1 to Carrarese, but again, look at the liquidity or lack of it. It's a real pity because these are very exploitable markets. First half goals should be more liquid, at least. But then you're not got the 0-1 covered. 0-1 would be covered by backing over 0.5 goals at 3.2. It's a little bit of money there. And then backing over 1.5 goals at 18.5 or laying under 1.5 goals. That would cover the 0-2. But as you can see, we're just wrestling with a lack of liquidity in that market. So perhaps the big boys are best focused on. Talking of big boys, well, Alaves having a better time of it than Girona, who are bang smack at the bottom there. But this is more in keeping with what Girona can achieve. But 5 shots on, 3 off, 1 corner. It's not a match I want to play. Middling momentum, not much action or consistent action from one particular team over the other. French League 2, or Red Star find themselves second. Is that going to be enough of a carrot for you to want to lay that very late draw? They won 3 wins in 4 for both of these two. So they're enjoying a good run, but it's very limited for Le Mans. It's playing into Le Mans' hands, to be honest. 2 consecutive home 1-0s. Both were 0-0 at half time. This is fitting in with that pattern very nicely, as you can see there. 1-0 against Bologna, 1-0 against Nancy. Both 0-0 at half time. Both home matches 0-0 now. So keep an eye out. You might get a little bit of value in Le Mans late on if we can get higher odds. We want to see that momentum moving up. We want to see the blue moving upwards. That's a really good indicator late on, and start to see the momentum moving upwards a little as well. But this is playing into their hands. Maybe this is a tactic of theirs. 85th minute plus, start putting the foot on the accelerator. So it's fitting their pattern. Watch out for a possible late Le Mans snatch and grab at home. Lecce and Verona wouldn't interest me at all. Pre-match odds telling you as much as well. 2.7 the favourite. The market's just given up the ghost on this one. Como and Cagliari all over. If Cagliari lead, I'd be all over that one. Really solid unit, Como, at the moment. Having taken the scalps of Atalanta and Juventus as well, and keeping Napoli at bay at Napoli. Cesc Fabregas got a real good future as a manager, I think. There's the Carrarese match. The longer you delay, the better odds you'll get in the half-time market. If you still wanted to wait 40th minute, start entering the market there. So make sure you're all okay over on YouTube. Oh, you had both teams to score. Good stuff. Hi, David. Thank you very much. Mlada Boleslav, Dukla Prague. All I want for Christmas is a Dukla Prague away kit. We can focus on the elites. Don't forget this. These Saturdays are a graveyard for your liabilities if you're over trading. So just extenuating circumstances like this and the reaction, whether we can spot any value where we're not overcommitting our funds in these lower tiers. But it's the big boys you want to be focusing on, ideally. And with that in mind, just going to wait for the 3 o'clocks and make sure if I am going to the lower tiers, it's only going to be odds on favourites. So we'll just collect them while it's a little quiet. 0-1 Leipzig of the opening goal against the mighty Hoff. Don't forget the Hoff are on a run of 3-1 wins. It's very un-Hoff-like. But this is a renewed Leipzig. They must have had a new manager because he's really getting a tune out of this side. So I'll just dig out the odds on favourites. The only real way you can profit from it, and there we go, that's the first potential upset of the campaign. So we'll keep an eye on Union Berlin, Bayern Munich. Don't forget, this is post-Champions League, pre-international break. Something's going to give from one of these big boys. They just can't keep the pressure up match after match after match after match. Luis Diaz was red carded as well recently. He might be absent. You have to check that. But Union Berlin, on paper, gettable all day long. So what you can lock in your lay of over 1.5 goals. And then you can give it some thinking time if you wanted, or you could get involved straight away. The best value would be the half-time market, wouldn't it? So there we go. Market's expecting an avalanche of goals. Lock in your insurance. It's costing you nothing. But we're going to get no value at all. It's a pre-10-minute goal. You're still going to get 1.55 for buying. So you really can't play unless you want to be imaginative or go half-time. And still, just got to wait for the market to become a little more liquid. The only real value I would see here would be to jump onto a 1-2 Bayern Munich and any unquoted. But then, as you can see, it's not working, is it? First half goals 2.5. Again, it's just gone, hasn't it? Totally lacking. Is it going to come alive? That would be my value, backing over 2.5 goals with a goal under your belt if the odds on offer are reasonable. That's probably the equaliser, or it was a disallowed goal initially. That sounds like a disallowed goal for Union Berlin. Yeah, okay. So no panic, Mr. Mannering. But you can see, or we had a glimpse at least, as to what the odds would be if Union Berlin scored first. They offer us nothing at all, do they? Not at this stage of the match, at least. So I was working my way down, just collecting odds on favourites. You never know, you just might find a really good candidate from these lower tiers at odds on. West Ham today, yes, Nuno Espirito Santo, far more calming for the West Ham fans and team, I would suspect. Wolves, no manager. Please don't sign Den Haag. Please have some sense. Goodness me, I fainted when I read that rumour. Only West Brom and Southampton. Interesting that Southampton are odds-on favourite today. As soon as they get rid of the gingered wonder, they won their match. So maybe a rudderless Southampton, like a rudderless Genoa, start winning matches. Very interesting to see a sudden lurch towards odds-on favouritism from them today. Not really in keeping with their form, is it? Bolton, odds-on. Bradford, Huddersfield. That's about it from English League One. It's going to have to be a really strong argument for me to get involved down here, unless it's a neutral play. You can see how unreliable these have been week in, week out. So just the three again in English League Two keeps our workload to a bare minimum. Marseille, odds on at home. Le Havre putting together a couple of 1-0 wins. Could fancy themselves at home. Monaco as just a smidge of odds against. Guingamp, you can see leading 2-1. Bayer Leverkusen 1.45, so expected to do a number today. And Bayern Munich, the only other odds-ons. But all odds-on favourites for over 2.5 goal plays today. And already you're seeing them coming in before half-time. So it's a really good indicator that the Bundesliga is expected to deliver. 1.5 or lower, all of the Bundesliga sides today. There's old Perry, says Fabregas' side. This is a Turin derby, so be a little wary that Torino are scoring 2 goals of late as well. So that will be very interesting. Parma can keep a 0-0, but they'll have to park that big joint of ham in front of goal, I think, to stop AC Milan. It's a good opportunity for AC Milan to get something today. Only the one odds on favourite in a tough-looking Eredivisie today, so that could be best swerved or played neutrally. Excelsior against Heracles. Moving on down. And don't forget the post-Champions League pre-international conundrum as well, which will face the likes of Sporting Lisbon, that's for sure. They've been involved in Europe, and they're chock full of international players as well. Atletico Madrid, very, very unopposable at home. All of the other matches, a bit of a conundrum on paper pre-match. Oh, where have I gone? Minor panic there. And La Liga 2, Deportivo La Coruña and Eibar, the odds-ons. We can have the luxury of leaving the Superettan alone today. Swiss Super League has been a good tradable league when they've got odds-on favourite, but they don't have today. Trabzonspor are already leading Alanyaspor, and Besiktas odds-on away at Antalyaspor. Those would be our only odds-on list today, so it's very lacking in the lower tiers in England. So they will remain here, and that will be alerting me to any goal in any odds-on favourite match. And then I can investigate using the in-play stats or indeed the XG and analyzer and everything else. So let's have a look through. Girona Alaves coming to the end of this match. 1.08 expected goals and momentum rising at the end. So I would encourage you to lay if the odds are reflected here, 1.08. That's the kind of thing you want to see late on. XG and a rising momentum. So it's highly unlikely to come in because of the clock issue, but this is why we filter out better quality candidates. So let's take a peek at this market. You want to get as low odds as possible, of course, because it's highly liquid. I could do 109. So £23 up here. Confirm. This will capture any late continued momentum from Alaves. 1.09 for that. Keeps the liability at £2. Have we got the 1-1? Was I too greedy? Did you get involved at 1.13? I hope you did. Well, maybe not. Looks like we saved ourselves a little bit of dough. Or have we? Yeah, looks like it might be a Girona follow-up here. Or, yeah, looks like they're done. So I saved myself a bit of dough there. But that's what I want to see late on. Maybe they were done. That's what I want to see late on. Late momentum. And with only 1 goal difference and short odds to keep your liability very low indeed. Disallowed. So maybe we can have another bite at the cherry with an Empoli red card as well. So bring up the reaction. We want to see a reaction in Serie B to the Empoli goal as well. So just going to bring that one up. Empoli. Red cards can change games. And you can see already, if that red card is confirmed, we need to see Catanzaro react because Empoli have been the better team. It doesn't necessarily mean they're going to win. So let's pop on aboard again at 1.09. Maybe that's just given them a wake-up call, Alaves, to just have another go because it was their momentum late on. £32 at 1.06 gives me a £2 liability. If these two get matched and we get a winner, boom. So it's going to cost me nothing to see whether Alaves can convert that momentum that they had fleetingly into a goal. And the expected goals has increased marginally as well. So the clock, of course, is firmly Girona's friend there. Le Mans and Red Star. Well, if you wanted to lay the draw late on, just a hint of a rise for Le Mans late. 89th minute shot on target, 90th minute shot off. They are going for it late on. Again, make sure your liabilities at these 109s or 106 levels because the clock is not our friend at all. Sociedad B and Leganes, I think I can get rid of this one. Well, there's a red card involved, but the better XG is with the away side. And indeed, the recent momentum has been with the away side as well. So that suggests a red card was a late one, indeed, 85th minute. So again, another one you can target, 1.06, target 1.09, with a story behind it, a red card. Is that going to impact? Because they are at home, they are 19th in the league. Can they convert that into a much needed 3 points? We can get rid of the Lingby match. Don't need any updates on that anymore. So we can just stay focused. There we go. A couple of red cards for home sides. So both in Italian Serie B. Problem is, these are very defensively led. Over 2.5 goals is always over evens in Serie B compared to unders. That gives us Hoffenheim in Leipzig is 1-1, so the Hoff might be up for a win today. Certainly that draw is layable if we can get short enough odds. With this lot's winning 3-1 of late, and Leipzig in exceptional form as well. We might have a humdinger on our hands. That draw could be layable, but the odds are decent. That draw could be layable second half now, with Carrese starting to show how the kind of reaction you want to see against 10 men. Consistent secondary pressure at least. Those corners are going to count at some point, aren't they? So we're 0-0 at half time. Well worthy of our attention second half. Match odds are going to be more liquid than the half-time markets, albeit only 60k matched. But that's got a good story behind it as well, hasn't it? Empoli Catanzaro, not really, because the better side had been red carded. Catanzaro didn't really land a blow, so that's one to look for a reaction to. Similar with this, if the blue starts rising late on, then they might be able to take advantage of the extra man. Girona and Alaves, just in case. You can see the rising, gone from 1.35 to 1.48. So they have started creating chances at the very end of the match, but they are fighting a diminishing timeline. That's the problem. Bundesliga quiet, but that doesn't necessarily mean the overs aren't going to pile in. Bayern Munich, you can just get the feel it's a post-Champions League pre-international break. Slog in the mud. You could see Union Berlin overperform today, and Bayern Munich perhaps get back on parity and then have to reel or make some subs. I would suspect some of the big boys are having a bit of a breather for the usual 60-minute cavalry charge, which will bring forth a late get-out-of-jail winner for Vincent Kompany. 3-0 by Leverkusen against Heidenheim, over 2.5 goals in the bag, and how, isn't it? It'd be interesting how often backing at 1.5s comes in, not to be dismissed if they can continue to perform like this, and indeed that's a profitable trade as well, isn't it? So yes, they're short odds, but if the strike rate is relative to the odds, and we've got the option to cash out at half time as well, could be an option. I'm recording all of the results, so we're going to have an interesting, I think, some bet and go, interesting strategies coming up. The problem is you've got to put the groundwork in and collect results initially. Can't really back test. But if you notice patterns, and the patterns occur often enough with low enough entry points, we can give it a real good go, particularly with an additional trading angle, which does spoil the bet and go element, but does offer you extra protection. So I've got plenty of those ideas brewing up, and indeed some in the horse racing as well. My goal is to get automated betting. That's my absolute goal. If I can make myself an automated profit each day, just with a number of small strategies, then we can go off on my merry travels. So we will see how that comes. I use BetSender for my automating. It's been very effective, and it's got all of the staking plans that you've got at the staking machine, and those both coexist together. So you can download staking machine templates, and you can analyze further, and then go back to BetSender and say the staking machine showed me XYZ staking plan was more effective. Plug it in, and then do it in a live environment. And one or two of these are going to click. I'm using Fibonacci staking at the moment on favourites, and it's really working. Australian favourites, horses, greyhounds. UK favourites, horses, greyhounds. It's just a sheer volume. We've got a maximum loss, which will cut off any continued losses. We do get the odd massive winner further on down the sequence. So I'm backing at over evens. I'm laying to a Fibonacci sequence, odds-on favourites as well, and that is proving profitable. So I will keep you informed. We might have a very nice set of portfolios of systems that we can use for bet and goes. But in the meantime, the 3 o'clocks will be upon us very soon. Half times in the Bundesliga. No, not just yet. Still only 25 minutes gone. 0-0 Bayern Munich and Union Berlin. We know the reason for that. It'll be that Champions League. It's going to affect one or two of these big boys. Borussia Mönchengladbach Borussia Dortmund are starting to warm up nicely. The problem with Hamburger, even though they've shown some really good form at home, it just might be, as a newly promoted side, they get found out against the big boys. Borussia Dortmund, though, they've got a real problem with that second goal, which is the potential banana skin team today, correctly coloured as well in yellow. They might just fall foul against Hamburg. If they can't score that second goal, they might be gettable if their odds are nice and low. So a 0-1 Dortmund lead for me would be ideal entry point. Hamburg in front of home support have been in good form. Only just going down to Wolfsberger, but they've picked up some decent wins as well. So be looking with interest at that, potentially exploiting that inability to score 2 goals. And Union Berlin have opened up against Bayern Munich in first potential banana skin as well, post-Champions League pre-international break. This is one to lay over 1.5 goals certainly now, and just see whether Bayern Munich will wake up. Hope you're all okay over on YouTube. So that's going to be of great interest. We're not getting it lighting up here though. My odds-ons. So Union Berlin, Bayern Munich 1-0. So that's the maximum liability you'll get with 1.09, 1.06. Maximum gain you'll get is very, very interesting as well, isn't it? If you don't want to risk £4, you can just divide that by 2, can't you? So 23 divided by 2, about £11, £11.50. 32 divided by 2 is 16. So you can limit your liability further. You'll still make 25, 30 quid out of it if you just get one of those two got at. So let's have a look at Union Berlin. This is Banana Skin City. That's the problem. But certainly, in case this ends 1-0. Oh, this is already there. Okay, good stuff. So we'll keep an eye on the Bayern Munich reaction. Nothing doing yet. I would suggest there's been some changes to the Bayern Munich team. So we'll just pick up that odds on there. I think if it remains 1-0, 60th minute, they'll get the old cavalry on. And off we go. That could have been 2-0 already for Union Berlin. Well, the big guns are all playing. But international, off to South America perhaps, international break. Serge Gnabry, international. Michael Olise, international. Every other international. Manuel Neuer, of course. That's the problem, isn't it? Robert Lewandowski missed a penalty in this last weekend we had, post-Champions League pre-international break. He missed a penalty to make it 2-2, and Barcelona lost 4-1. There's going to be one of these teams creaking, and it could present us with a value play. It's certainly the forward line you'd like to have on your side, isn't it? That's for sure. But if there's going to be an upset, it's going to be today. Well, Real Sociedad B getting the late winner against Leganes. Did any of you take on that red card? That would have been a 109, 106, wouldn't it? Oh, very nice indeed. So this is just waiting for the 3 o'clock avalanche to come on board. Everton and Fulham. Everton have a good chance here if they can get the best out of Jack Grealish. He's doing a good job with his assists at the moment. Fulham can't buy a win, can't buy a goal away from home. It's a good opportunity for Everton. They've only lost one at home, but they're on a bit of a poor run ultra recently. West Ham against Burnley. I do like the look of Nuno Espirito Santo as a manager, just to tighten the ship. And with Burnley, you know what you're going to get. But both teams are starting to score in Burnley away matches, so this could be an interesting one today. My I would be firmly, I think, on taking on any Burnley lead, just based on the fact I like Nuno as a manager. Very disciplined, and just gets a tune out of his teams. In the Championship, well, we'll leave that open. We've got to wait and see whether Southampton deserve that 1.42 status. I know they're playing a weaker opponent, but boy, have they been in poor form. So Championship, League One and League Two, it's all going to be what happens in play with them. SPL today, Falkirk against Livingston. No strong opinion on that. Scottish Championship, I do like St Johnstone. Very, very followable in this league. Newly relegated, no coincidence. They're having a fine time of it in the lower tier. They're likely to be straight back up. Sevilla Osasuna at 3:15. Difficult one to unpack, this one, along with a lot of Spanish La Liga matches today. Very difficult on paper to unpack. Similar, Excelsior against Heracles, although Excelsior are odds-on favourite today. So to get your Football 24 up, the ideal is to have this up on your app on your mobile phone. That way it's separated from these important tabs. So you don't have to do what I do, quick having to come here to check who has scored and whether we need to investigate it. So we need to look at a reaction from Bayern Munich. It's not doing just yet, but I don't think they're going to panic at all. Just have a half-time team talk. Those of you who look at a little bit of value, you could look at first half goals 2.5. So low liability play. Bear in mind, a Bayern Munich goal could light up a 1-2 at half time, given their pre-match odds. So that could be of interest. Just having a little interest at very short odds. And we'll just see whether there'll be a reaction from Bayern, or indeed, with Union Berlin already having a goal disallowed, if they can follow up 2-0, that might waken Bayern up. So 35th to 40th minute would be ideal for the next goal, to give us a little bit of a breathing space for the potential for 3 goals. But keep that liability low, because Bayern Munich haven't clearly turned up yet. So get rid of that. Look at that, 1.04. Was that the last available odds? I did mention it, did I not? I hope one or two of you got involved, because these are really short odds lays, aren't they? Well worthy of your attention, particularly when one comes in, or a couple of them come in. Como and Cagliari is very difficult. Do we lay the draw second half? They're still odds on, Como. Cagliari do have a threat. If they can score, they might hold on. But Como are very difficult to score against, which means if you're going to be laying that draw, you're going to only really be trusting old Perry. Why don't we use one of these to just have a quick look at the Como and Cagliari match. So we're going to research the match. No, deciding not to play. Okay. Oh, here we go. Select the league, Italian Serie A. So AI is right. So Italian Serie A. Who is this? Como is the home side. Old Perry. And Cagliari, the away side. So we're going to research the match. I did have one of these apps working on giving me in-play angles, where I plugged in the correct score and the time, and it would give me a whole host of in-play particular plays. I'll have to see if I can develop that perhaps within this soccer AI researcher. So we'll just see. This is really good analysis as well. I wonder if this is the one which had in play. This uses up a lot of resources. I hope to get some of these with you for 2026, because it'd be nice, you know, if you're having a trading session on your own and you can plug in a couple of team names, even from Brazilian Primeira Division, get a clear indication, unbiased, because this is all based purely on research and not really on the opinion. The opinion is brought about through the research. So it's totally unemotional. So we'll wait and see. You can see Como are starting to wake up. Well, no, that's the end of the first half. I would expect them to be scoring second half. I would suggest if Cagliari score first, it will be a 1-1 or a 2-1 to Como. And if Como score first, they're likely to hold on for a 1-0. They could even follow up with that second. I do like them. As I've told you, if you want to limit your workload, find yourself a Como, find yourself a Hoff, scoring and conceding, goal before half time. Find yourself the old reliables, and then you won't go wrong. They rarely put a foot wrong. So build them up. Como just turned up this season, looking really, really reliable. The Hoff, always reliable in their unreliableness. So they're a neutral player's dream. So you get to know Midtjylland as well. Brilliant in Denmark. Watch out, Hamburg. They might start getting caught out before halftime. This has got the feel of Dortmund being just too good, I'm afraid, for the newly promoted side, despite the fanatical 50+ thousand. This is the population of Guernsey watching this match. Unbelievable, Jeff. Barrow against Grimsby. I would suggest Grimsby would have been the favourite there, but they've not come up on my odds-on favourite list, so maybe not on this occasion. So we'll just have a look at the Como analysis. AI verdict. Como enters the fixture in superb home form, strong overall momentum. Predicted Como to score and secure a comfortable 2-0. Well, that agreed with me. So if we take that to fruition, key narratives. I like that. I've got AI thinking like me as well. Crucial factors as well. Current form, unbeaten in the last 5 league matches. And again, I've got it looking at injury concerns as well. We've got a goal in an odds-on favourite match, so I've got to check that out. And Bayern Munich have equalised already, so good. We went neutral. So now you can see the relationship between the amount you risk and the amount you profit. Perfectly timed goal now, because it's got the market salivating about Bayern Munich taking the lead before half time. Of course, you can cash out with a 1-to-1 risk reward here. As I'm saying, that goals are popping in, so I better keep an eye on them. Carrarese have got the goal against Sud Tirol. Carrarese got the goal against Sud Tirol. It was a good play that. I hope you got on. Remember the beginning of the second halves. So this is just showing you, you double that just with a single goal. You triple that, but of course you triple the risk at all times. So if it doesn't come in, you have to bear that in mind. So do remember the risk-reward relationship. You could just nail that and say, I've done well there. I called that right. Weighing up the amount of time left, is there going to be an urgency in getting a lead before half-time? Maybe more so for Union Berlin, who had a goal disallowed. You can leave it go if you're willing to take a loss, or another option, you can wait for that to go to 0.00 and give yourself a free punt between that going from £7.85 all the way down to break even. And you can say, I gave it a shot, but they didn't get that second goal to just up my profit to 37 quid from 7. So we've got many options to exit, haven't you? Those of you prudent, building your bank, don't forget that's 7% of £100 target for a session. It all adds up, particularly got 28 quid in that previous match. That's already up to 35% of your £100 target. So don't dismiss these little amounts. They do add up, just as these small liabilities add up as well. Don't forget that. a few of those fivers can be a real pain. Got to catch up with some goals now being scored, and we've got a possible play in this championship, as I've said already. I like St Johnstone, one of your reliables, and I like reliables. So let's just do a catch up. Have I missed any matches? There it is there. Rotherham, Bayern Munich got that goal. Dunfermline, opener against St J. And Southampton look like they're deserving of their odds-on status against the Owls today. But it's with Dunfermline and a lack of liquidity that will head off. So we'll keep an eye on this, see how long it takes to get to 0.00 and give yourself a free bet at that second goal. That second goal being scored by one of the teams. So I'm just going to go back. We're looking at Dunfermline. Okay, Dunfermline. Oh, what on earth's going on here? So Tyrrell Carrarese. But if you did lay that draw, the 10 men conceded first, so you've got that nice odd swing, and you'd be out, of course. So Dunfermline. Just want to see what odds St J were today. If the market fancied them, then I would fancy them. And this looks the kind of odds of about a 1.8 pre-match favourite, something like that. Just over evens, yeah, just on a touch of evens. So not wholly expected to do a number today, St Johnstone, but they are really good at the moment. So again, if you're undecided, I would always encourage you to lay over 1.5 goals if you're happy to take the liability hit. But you can also take the benefit if this ends up being 1-0 at half time. So cover the 1-0, and then you can decide if St Johnstone come alive quickly. Then you can either go matched odds or St Johnstone +1. And you'll have just eked out a little bit more profit out of the odds. So we'll wait and see for a reaction from St Johnstone. It's not going to be one of the primary focuses today because we've got the elite leagues, haven't we? We don't want to overtrade these lower markets. That's where you lose your dough every Saturday. Como are looking excellent, aren't they? Looking like they've just started where they finished. So let's go and have a look at Como. I think I'll pass this on to Telegrammers to potentially lay the draw in this one. Cagliari can dig out a 0-0. They are stubborn at the best of times, but that looks decent enough for me. I'm going to lay the draw, Como and Cagliari. We can also look at, if you don't want to take a full-time hit, we can also look at getting out. You can get out by time. You can say if they don't do it by the 65th minute, I'm out. That's about the middle way through the second half. Or you could do it by liability. A third of liability is loss. That gets to 13. You can say, I gave them until that got from 0 to 13 to score a goal. They didn't do it. I'll take the hit. More importantly, I've got 2/3 of my liability back to go to war with. Como v Cagliari, I'm going to lay the draw here. Como are in excellent form at the moment and they're starting to wake up momentum-wise and shots-wise. Looks a good one. So we'll see, as you can see there. It's a Cesc Fabregas side and they are reliable. AI went for the 2-0. Away struggles for Cagliari, winless in the last 3 away matches. We don't need to investigate all of this lot, but this is I'm going to take this through its paces as well to make sure that all of these elements are sorted out, and this is where you go for a really, really in-depth look at a match if you really want to dig deep. I want to have a look at the fact sheet. Maybe this will stop the AI. So no goals coming in at the moment, so I've got the luxury of this. But we can keep an eye on Premier League stats with the first quarter of an hour of the first halves. So we'll do that. Just wait for the key match facts, see what kind of analysis that presents. So I'm very impressed with these apps at the moment. They are taking the workload off, and they also give you the flexibility of looking into matches you wouldn't ordinarily look at as well. So let's just take a look through the Premier League. It's very quiet. Fulham are going to be panicking a little, and they're going to be defensively overreactive. But I think for me, this hinges on how well Jack Grealish will be performing today. He's just a touch of class at Everton. Really good up front for them. Trelleborgs and Orebro, we don't need to focus too much on these. Got an odds-on favourite goal come in, and we don't need to focus on that anymore. That's for sure. 5-0. So we can get rid of that. Goals are coming in. Nothing of great interest. West Ham and Burnley likely to be defensively led, given the managers. But we have a very strong both teams to score pattern away from home for Burnley. But the problem is both teams to score, and Burnley don't tend to win. So they're going to have to solve that puzzle if Nottingham Forest score today, or even if Burnley score themselves today. Find clean sheets very difficult away from home. Ibar are odds on, and I think they've just conceded to Albacete. So that might be worthy of an investigation. Sevilla Osasuna, very difficult to call this one today. 2.35 the favourite, very tough, and both teams not in the greatest of form. Indeed, Albacete have scored first against 1.75 Ibar, so just stick it on the watch list. You don't have to commit to playing. We can just give it some breathing space and see whether there's a really strong argument for the home side. There's Dunfermline's lead, so keep an eye on St Johnstone's stats. It's a top four clash, so due respect for Dunfermline. But this is booked in for a return to the SPL. My old pals Lillestrøm, unbeaten. Likely to go unbeaten this season. I wish I'd put a punt on that, because they have been down in quite a few matches as well. Excelsior odds on favourite today, so that will get a shortlist look. And we've got some goals coming in for odds on favourites as well, as you can see there. So that's an odds on favourite we know. Chesterfield and Accrington Stanley. So we can just investigate these ones. And it's looked like the market's got Saints absolutely spot on today. And the odds on favourite Chesterfield have gone a goal down in English League 2. So again, that's getting my interest. Chesterfield and Accrington, given the fact they're under 1.7 and they're at home, might just get something out of this one. So we'll have a look at the Chesterfield English League 2. Just put that one on the shortlist. Chesterfield English League 2. Come out, wherever you are. There we go. So they'll just get on the watch list. And again, if you wanted to lay over 1.5 goals there straight away, you never know. One or two of these might just run on as 0-1s, particularly if it's the underdog that scored first. They might dig their heels in. That could be a good argument as a simple play for us to lay over 1.5 goals after the first goal has been scored, and see whether the sheer volume will help us make some green screens. It's a nice neutral play as well, and it's a contrarian play because the market's expecting future goals. So the 3 o'clocks are with us. Just see if we got any key stats. There we go. Confidence score. So that's good. So this is going really into detail, isn't it? I quite like this. So trading angles, how about that? This could be the in-play thing I was talking about. So, for example, if you had that Manchester United, that lead for Tottenham earlier on, let's see if this is the live element. It'd be well worth investigating if that is, because I can bring that into these live streams then. Okay, the draw has ended. That's also a good indicator as well. Odds on favourites. If you want to harvest draws second half, perhaps this is where this odds on favourite list can come in. It does tend to get rid of nil-nils as well second half. I'm not with 100% strike rate. I can't vouch for it because I haven't been recording results. It's just the general feel you get on a Saturday tends to be nil-nils tend to be vulnerable second half for odds on favourite matches. Bar this one, complete mayhem for 20. Post Europe, pre-international break. That's my only reasoning there, I think. No other odds on favourites. Oliver Enze Portimonense, going to get rid of that one. Carrarese scored first, so you would have got a nice trade out of that. Empoli, the best team, has scored first. So, like Bologna against Bran midweek, I'm not going to be taking a side like Bologna on down to 10 men against Bran. They are still far superior to Bran. So if you look at Como and Cagliari, you're going to be thinking to yourself, it's looking good. 0.94 expected goals. We are going to get firm resistance from Cagliari. That's the problem. But they do tend to be vulnerable. And there's an opening goal for Empoli. As I say, they were the better side. They are down to 10. Now, that's a positive, particularly if you see a reaction now from Catanzaro. Because you can lay an odds on favourite now. You can lay an odds on favourite down to 10 men. They're likely to be odds on with the lead. So the lead has helped. And don't forget, if we get an equaliser for Catanzaro, it's going to be doubly impacted by the equaliser and the red card. So it's all dependent on the reaction we get from them. You have to maybe give it 5-10 minutes to see if we get something, because they've not done anything. 0.06 xg, not created a chance, and you can see flat as a pancake momentum. It's always a good indicator, that, isn't it, of a quiet 0-0 match. You see a lot in is it Pisa matches and Parma matches. Very, very quiet. So I hope you're all okay over on YouTube. Hi Mel, nice to see you. So I've tried to solve this chat thing at some point. So let's just have a quick look through. 0-0. No draw in the last two for either of these two. 2.7 the favourite tells me it could end in 0-0, couldn't it? Not creating the best of chances, and the momentum is flat as a pancake. So I'm not going to be taking that 0-0 on. But we have had both teams to score in the last three Verona matches, albeit one of them away from home. And we've not had a 0-0. Looks like Lecce are a defensive side, aren't they? Take that Udinese match out, and they're very, very defensive. 0-1s and 0-0. So not one to really get stuck into at all. Not really a goal fest expected, is it? Apart compared to Lillestrøm, who are just going to go for glory. So we need to see a reaction from Catanzaro here, but we don't need to fixate too much on these lower tiers, just if it happens. And old Perry, just want to hope that he converts, gets a goal at least today. Don't forget, you can always cash out third of liability as loss if you wanted. Sotiro Carrarese, well, I think I'll dismiss this from now on. The angle in was to look for the 11 players to score first in the second half, and that did occur. Both teams to score popped in. Both teams to score likely to pop in. So maybe we can see it ignite second half here, Hamburg and Dortmund. So if we're going to get 100% over 2.5 goals today, as the odds suggested, that could present you with some value second half. Hamburg in decent nick relatively at home, but Dortmund should be far too good for them. But post-Champions League pre-international break is the reason why. Just getting a bit of a huff and puff from Bayern and Dortmund today. Everton and Fulham, it's likely to be quiet, very, very quiet. But you can see that Everton are keeping Fulham's chances to a bare minimum 24 minutes in. We're lacking a momentum graph, which is a bit of a pity. Hopefully that will correct itself at some point, because you can see it's very, very important these days. It's a great innovation. But I would be expectant of Everton today, but Fulham would likely offer some resistance because they can't score away. So whether they can score away, they don't win, put it that way. West Ham and Burnley, it's a new manager syndrome, and two very defensively led teams. Could ignite second half this, could ignite 60th minute as well with late substitutions. But both teams are scoring away from home in Burnley matches. Can we see that one continue? If Burnley score first, that could be my angle in. I do like a Nuno side. Or is it a Nuno side or a Sean Dyche? Sean Dyche, I think. Is it? I'm not too sure. One of the two. Chesterfield, again, it was one of our odds on favourites, wasn't it, earlier on? And we haven't seen a reaction at all from Chesterfield. Lower tier and the away team momentum is doing a business. So that's why I'm very, very tentative with these lower tiers. And indeed, 0-2, that's your angle in potentially if you actually wanted to get involved. That's your potential angle in, 0-2 for the away team. But it's not a trustworthy league at all, is it? You can get rid of Lillestrøm. And it's a very difficult one today, Sevilla and Osasuna, to call. St Johnstone, I think I'll get involved here. I've liked them already pre-match, and they're reacting. So let's just see if there's any liquidity. Having given it some breathing space, I think we've got a good shout here at something. So again, we were already ahead of the curve by laying at 1.12. Match odds, I think, given St Johnstone, are looking a bit good, and those odds look massive as well. They really do. It does suggest if you wanted the safety of a draw, St Johnstone +1 will be competitive today. I would say heading towards evens, 1.91 or thereabouts. Where's S? Where's S down the bottom? 1.9. So that will be competitive. Don't forget, backing St Johnstone +1 is exactly the same as laying the draw. Laying Dunfermline, sorry. So you're going to get the draw covered. But they look in decent nick, but you can see the liquidity is lacking a little bit. There we go, that's a bit better. Got to lay Dunfermline, and you're going to get an odds-on lay. And a small loss on the draw. That's a good configuration for a team I like, who have reacted to going a goal down. Yes, it might come a cropper. It's a top four clash. It's a lower league. But I do like St Johnstone. As I've said to you, we're going to go these lower tiers. Make sure it's your old reliables. And, oh dear, the Saints, are they going to fall foul? 1.42 pre-match, 2-0 is befitting 1.42 pre-match. But now, are the wheels falling off? So we're on that St Johnstone play, that reaction. I like a lot. If they can just nail a goal before half-time, you could even have your exit there at 1-1 before half-time. So that's always a recommendation if you want to get involved before half-time. If you get that equaliser, it will impact the market more than if you get it at the beginning of the second half. Ibo and Albacete. Well, I don't see any red card at the in-play guru. We'll have to wait and see whether that one turns up. And I'll just work my way through the noise to see if there's any matches with standout stats that we might want to follow through on. There's lots and lots of football you can't trade. So Spanish Secunda, that 2-1. If you got on that, well done. Huesca Andorra, again, a bit difficult at 2.63, the favourite in a lower tier on a Saturday. No, thank you. SPL today, Falkirk and Livy. Don't have a strong opinion on this one, but it's going away. I think newly promoted Falkirk today, leading 1-0. It's going to have a break and look at the goal. And Middlesbrough and Birmingham, don't have a strong opinion on that. Wasn't on our odds-on favourite list. It's all about whether you follow Birmingham in the Championship. They have been an excellent side to follow. So, if you know your local team better than I do, off you go. We're not going to be playing League One, League Two. It's a pity because you've had some good trades in League One, League Two in Scotland, but total lack of liquidity. You've seen how barren it is in the Scottish Championship. Just doesn't attract any real attention from the market makers. And we have the luxury of avoiding Norwegian First Division today, which is a wonderful scenario. But Mjøndalen, very rarely they have a 0-0, if that's 0-0 at half time. If you fancy a bit of sadomasochism, you could lay the draw and suffer the first Mjøndalen 0-0 in 20 years. Got a suspended market and we've got goals coming in. So I'm getting to the end of this. Serie B, we are coming late into this match. We've got a 0-0. A couple of 0-0s might see some action. We've got to catch up with the goals. And well done to St Johnstone. Lovely jubbly. This is the advantage of going before half time. Fabulous stuff. So again, just wait for it to settle down and you can lock in that profit, as I was saying to you. If you're aiming for a 3-figure return, that's going to add 24% or whatever. Wait for the market to reform. Excellent stuff from St Johnstone. It's what I was talking about, old reliables. Once you spot them in a season, particularly newly relegated sides, once you spot them, latch onto them. Lillestrøm, how many trades we got out of them this season? In all sorts of bother, coming out unbeaten continuously. This might have some action. 70th minute, Modena. That's the kind of thing you might want to focus on because you can take a risk because you've already got an odds-on favourite with 20 minutes to go. It offers you good value buying a 20-minute lay at 1.4 with that kind of stats. Look at the pre-match, 2.55 the favourites, tells you to go into the in-play stats. This looks good, 1.85 XG. That looks good, 92. That looks good. That looks good. Look how much of that has come second half. So Frosinone and Modena. Let's just have a quick break and have a look at that one. And we can investigate these odds-on favourites coming in as well. Frosinone and Modena. There we go. That looked quite good, didn't it? For a fleeting moment. And this is the problem, these leagues. You can't get out immediately. You just have to bide your time. We are in a good position. If this remains 1-1 at half time, we'll be okay. The market should be a lot tighter then. And then we can look at getting out. Frosinone and Modena, are they short enough to be layable enough? Well, if you wanted a quick bite at very, very short odds, with 20 minutes to go, you only need a goal between now and the 80th minute, and these odds of 16 will drop like a stone. This will give you a low odds entry point. The problem with laying at 1.5 is it's costing you in liability, isn't it? Costing you half your potential in liability at each turn. So it really does mount up. But I think we might have a good chance at a Modena equaliser. Plenty of time. And there's a goal for Everton opening up against Fulham. And I'm afraid that's probably the end of the match. I would suggest. Unless they can solve their failure to score problem. Hope you're all okay over on YouTube. Not missing anything. Good. So let's take a quick walkthrough as the goals continue. And Burnley have scored first against West Ham. Now, that's going to try out our both teams to score Burnley away pattern. Is it going to turn up today against the Hammers? So we'll keep an eye on that. Deserving lead. You'd have to argue. So we'll have a look with interest here. New manager syndrome is a slight concern, but he's a decent manager. So again, you could just lay over 1.5 goals. It is Burnley after all. They could easily come out of this with a 0-1. So let's just have a look at that one. West Ham and Burnley. So it's 1.91 at the moment. 35th minute, 0-1. Laying over 1.5 goals. Relatively high, to be honest with you. A good sign from our perspective, although the liability will increase if you're not going to be cashing out or not going to be getting involved straight away. It's going to cost you quite a bit if they get a quick equaliser before you enter the market. So be wary of that. But Burnley are the type of side who can pull off a 0-1. But this is a Nuno Espirito West Ham. Going to wait for them to show something on the in-play stats, and then I would look to potentially get involved. Their expected goals need to improve. It's been one-way traffic from the away side. Now they've got the 0-1 lead, they might change tactic and look after it at least until half-time. So we might get some action out of this lay of under 1.5 goals, lay of over 1.5 goals. So just check any matches. I just want to see if that was in play. Here we go, in play trading. No, there was an element of this where I could feed it the score. I could feed it the actual score and the time, and it would do a look for me at potential next markets and what might happen next. So I'll keep an eye on that because there's far too many goals coming in for me to ignore. Nothing of great interest there, all in these lower tiers. So I'm not going to be jumping on just yet. We can have a walk through our odds on favourites. Have a walk through our odds on favourites and see if there's anything that stands out. As Cercle Brugge open up against OH Leuven. Got some good goals for us last week, Cercle Brugge, if I remember rightly. Odds on favourites and Hradec Králové, we can get rid of them. We don't need to follow that. Obiadense got the equaliser earlier on. And Lyngby, job done. And well done if you laid the Spuds at 106. So these are only, I think, because they're Premier League matches. Arsenal and Wolves and Chelsea. And, of course, 1.85 West Ham. So we might have something from the Hammers. I'm just waiting for a change in momentum towards West Ham. It's all been Burnley in this first half. Saints, West Brom, 0-0. Again, is that going to be vulnerable second half? Be interesting to see how many 0-0s at half time with a 1.7 home favourite or lower end second half. We could just lay the draw willy-nilly. Odds on favourite leading, so no need to investigate that. Very short priced again at home. Maybe have a look at the stats at half time. Have they been knocking on the door? What's their expected goals like? Is there anything else to take that draw on second half? League Two, again, that's if you're going to play these lower tiers, that's your entry point. Very, very low risk, low liability. See whether that's accurate for the second half. Half-time team talk, get them back in front of home support, maybe get something out of it. Marseille, deserved odds on at home, but it's post-Champions League. And Werder Bremen and Bayern, Could be a slog in the mud, as I said, for Bayern today. Como, well, Cagliari making life difficult. Let's hope this isn't a second consecutive 0-0 for Como. They should have enough gas in the tank to get at least a goal. But remember, if you wanted to get out a third of liability as loss, probably missed that opportunity now. We'll just have a look. Did I save the Como match? No, I didn't. So we'll just have to head off there. Have a little look. Como and Cagliari. Oh, there we go. So again, bang. We could always get involved again. So that's a third of liability if it gets taken or thereabouts. So if you're panicking a little, I'll stay in myself. If you're panicking, that's your exit. Okay, a third of liability is lost. So have these in mind if you're not happy taking a full liability hit. The fact of the matter is it tends to weigh itself out or balance itself out over a season. The full liability losses you make. So not much action. We've got, well, Bradford and Burton. That would have been one to target that 0-0, but now we could be targeting Burton second half. Certainly one to have on the watch list now. So I'll just dig that one out in English League One. So we're just finding my way to that Burton match. Have Bradford been looking good before that goal arrived? Are they good enough for us to trust second half? So many National League. Here we go. Now this is still the National League. So let's just have a wander through. League One. Where's that Burton match? There we go, Bradford and Burton. So really unimpressive for an odds-on favourite at home, you'd have to say. And I think Everton's goal has stuck on this occasion, has it? 1-0 now. So we'll keep an eye on that one. So this is our watch list at the moment. And you can see, there we go, there's that Mantova goal. Mantova, Padova. Did we get involved? I hope so. I think we did, didn't we? Mantova, Padova. Ah, was on the watch list, so wondering why I didn't get involved there. Really good stuff. Rising momentum again. See that pattern late on. Rising momentum, lights up. XG is bold. And that's a good little late goal finder. It tends to come in quite a lot late on, particularly if it's a home side who need a goal. Hoff and Leipzig. Well, Hoff are on a 3-1 winning run at the moment. The mighty Hoff. So, what are we going to do about that? Leipzig are in electric form at the moment. Yes, both teams to score was expected today. At least one team to score 2 goals, goal before half-time. All ticking all the boxes, but you could go 2 goals markets up. So over 3.5, over 4.5 goals, that would capture the next goal scorer. Now over 5.5 goals, that's 2 markets up, isn't it? No, over 3.5 goals, then over 4.5 goals. Yeah. So over 4.5 goals might get you the next goal scorer if you fancied that one. And West Ham have equalised against Burnley. I do like Nuno, and I should have played. I laid over 1.5 goals, and we were so close to getting a 0-0 at half time as well. Very disappointed with that. You could have got a nice move up. I do like Nuno. And I should have been paying attention to the stats as well, shouldn't I? A sudden lurch upwards for the home side. And this is a problem we have to keep ideally keep monitoring, because then you start seeing the momentum rise, etc. And then we can change our tack and say, yes, I'm going to have a play now because they've started to show up. I was waiting for them to show up. Nothing much else doing there. There we go, look. From 0-0 to 0-2 before you know it. The mighty Mion Darling. Lecce in Verona, nothing doing. Flat as a pancake. I'll take that off the watch list. I don't think I'll be getting involved there. Need to see more brown above blue for this to be a late lay of Empoli, but it's all the home side at the moment. Como, again, you could have cashed out. Third of liability is loss, but good metrics, good team, coming off the back of a 0-0, playing against a very defensively led Cagliari, so it's not a great recipe. Would have been an ideal, wouldn't it, lay over 0.5 goals at half time. Frosinone and Modena really ticking all the boxes, aren't they? So I'll be waiting a little bit longer here. Really concerted pressure, particularly not necessarily shots on, but this might play a part. That's the only real strength, the shots off target. The other strength is the odds are getting shorter and shorter if you want to get involved. Reggiani and Virtus Entella. Well, again, it's a story of secondary stats, isn't it? 14 shots off and 11 corners for Virtus Entella. It's another one you could lay that draw late on. It just came in, Mantova, didn't it? So it's getting to that kind of odds. You could start laying the draw. And an odds-on favourite 0-2 down before half-time. And we haven't seen anything from Bradford, have we? At all. So are we going to see a second half reaction for the odds-on favourite with a half-time team talk in hand? That is awful. Could be a Jekyll and Hyde second half performance, but they look to be on a poor run, failing to score that second goal, Bradford, as well. One of them was an FA Cup match. At home, though, in the last two matches, they were scoring. No, they failed to score in the last home match, so I don't like that, particularly given the fact they haven't turned up. But if you are to play an odds-on favourite at home, it's 0-2 down. Wait for that to be confirmed on the in-play Guru, and you'll see much better odds about Burton to lay, much better about Bradford to back, but they just haven't turned up at all. So that's a concern. So we're getting to the half times. You just have a look at our 0-0s for our odds-on favourites. Well, Everton and Fulham. Looks like a couple of goals disallowed for Everton. So that suggests to me that the Everton expected goals in play is quite good. Let's just have another quick look whether this is the odds on the formation analysis. Predicted headlines. No, that's all media. Yeah, would love to find that in play. Momentum float. Maybe this is an in play angle. I will find it. It will prove very useful. Bradford and Burton. We already know it's an odds-on favourite, limpering at the moment, and that is a far better entry point if you have faith in the odds. And it's also a good entry point because it's such a poor league. You know your maximum liability loss before you enter. Don't get involved now. We've got 15 minutes for you to have a think whether you want to risk your dough on a significant half-time team talk for Bradford, changing the complexion of the second half. Not been in the best of form, and indeed they've got the goal, have they? Has it stood? Thoroughly deserved, and that 0-0, very gettable second half. I wouldn't see any trading angle there, but Fulham are scoring away. I got Fulham mixed up with another side who are losing away without scoring. I think Fulham are scoring away, but losing. Oh, look at that. Frosinone and Modena. I'm sure we played this one, didn't we? I'm sure we played this one. Oh, that's looking rather nice. Well, not really. Should have done the layer froz as well. I'm not going to get any profit out of this, to be honest. Should have done that. That's why I always encourage you normally. Lay Frosinone, back Modena. Lay the team losing. Lay the team winning, back the team losing. That way you would double up because you will actually make a profit on the 2-2. Here, I will make a loss despite calling them not particularly winning correctly, if you understand. So all of my hard work is for naught there, which is a pity. Now, arguably, that draw could be layable at 1.09, 1.06. Now we've got an idea that Modena have really delivered on that momentum that they were showing here. Really delivered on it, haven't they? Bang on the button. Expected goals, late momentum, those shots off target doing the damage. Really good stuff. So arguably you could be targeting this for a late day the draw sub 1.1 with that momentum to hand. Can they finish the job? That's the question. Well, Albacete have finished the job. What a pity. I didn't lay the odds on favourite. Well, I'm expecting them to be odds on because they're leading down to 10. So, pity. It's a nice way to get involved in a red-carded match, particularly when they're leading and they've been red-carded. The mighty Hoff and Leipzig, they're still knocking on the door, Leipzig, aren't they? And you can see a switch in momentum second half as the Brown starts dominating and their momentum is moving above Hoffenheim's highest momentum point of the match as well. It's a good sign for a potential equaliser from Leipzig. Watch out for that. 3 shots on, 10 off and 2 corners. Lighting it up, as you can see there. Really good match for a neutral overs play, wasn't it? Bayern Munich, you know the reason why they're huffing and puffing. Post-Champions League, pre-international break. Similar story for Dortmund, although Hamburg look like they've parked an American who's eaten a lot of hamburgers in front of goal because no shots on target for Borussia Dortmund unless Borussia Dortmund have signed Mr. Magoo up front. Again, it's got the hallmark of post-Champions League pre-international break. It's also got the hallmark of a 0-1 85th minute Dortmund winner. Similar story Bayern Munich. The class is likely to tell very, very late on for a limping over the line away win for both of the big guns. But this is what you've been looking at or expecting. And there we go. There's a Dortmund goal arriving. Probably bang in line with the subs. It was what we were expecting, wasn't it? It's all whether you want to take the risk and lay that draw because they don't really turn up, do they? Or they might have trouble turning up post-Champions League pre-international. But it looks like the goal has arrived for Dortmund. Resistance, futile. It was inevitable, wasn't it? But I was looking at getting better value. Chesterfield have got a goal back, haven't they? 0-2 down. And that could be impetus for the second half now to take on Accrington Stanley. As I said to you before, 0-2 is a good entry point in these lower tiers. If you did follow me in with that, that's your exit, really, before half-time. So if you're going to get involved in these lower tiers, 0-2 to the underdog is to be encouraged. And that's what I'm saying with Bradford as well. Sevilla and Osasuna, no interest at all. Very difficult to unpack this one. And neither side is giving us a clue in play either. Very, very even Stevens and no shots on target for either side. St Johnstone, are you going to hope that they pull off the win, continue that momentum second half? I do like the look of St Johnstone. I really do. I hope they can continue. They are playing, though, a top 4 side in Dunfermline with 3 wins in 4 matches and at home, scoring 2 goals in the last win against Wraith Rovers. The other home match was a 0-0 against Queen's Park. But I would expect of St Johnstone, I'm quite happy to take the hit on the draw liability if they don't pull it off. But as I've shown you, you could have got your green screen before half-time with that goal arriving before half-time. Let's take a look at our other than watch list. And while I'm doing that, I'll just tidy up a few of these just to make the searching a little easier. And it could also give you an opportunity to look a bit closer at each match. It's coming to an end. And we've got 5 minutes to beginning of the second half. International break next week, so you're not going to be hearing much from me, I'm afraid. But I am going to be in Guernsey on Thursday for 3 months now. My mum's getting a hip operation, so she'll need some help. And I can't wait to enjoy a beautiful freezing my off for 3 months instead of sitting by a tropical beach with a beautiful November Thai wind just taking a sting out of a balmy 25 to 30 degree heat. Why on earth am I getting on that damn plane? Hey ho. Looking forward to laughing at the £5 sandwiches as well at Gatwick Airport. I'll take a photo of those and show people back in Thailand. £5 sandwich. An amazing thing. That's 2.3 the favourite in the Premier Liga, and it's two of our lesser lights. You can see a lack of a draw, though, for those of you who take on that fact that Alverca look in awful form. It's one of those you might want to look at laying the draw. But you might want to look at soccer stats. Check these two out. They're two of the lesser lights in the league, but we've got winning form for Rio Ave recently as well. So that's the reason to just have a peek through these, pick up one or two potentials for the beginning of the second half. Lillestrøm already doing the job as we expect. They are an excellent side, going to be unbeaten this season in their first division, straight back up. Like St Johnstone, one of those you latch onto. Helmand Sport against PSV Reserves. Well, it's an odds-on favourite at home, but let's ignore it today, eh? We've got elite leagues to help us on our merry way. Lecce and Verona, well, that ends, looks like that's ended 0-0, so no great harm done. Sometimes the Israeli Premier League can be tradable. I do prefer trading all hail to the ale. Maccabi, Beer, Sheba, they have tended to be. And it's only really in Greece I would be looking at the big guns, Olympiacos, AEK Athens, etc. Woeful in Europe midweek, AEK Athens, huffing and puffing against Shamrock Rovers. Marseille about to begin. Should be a comfortable enough afternoon, unless they're going to be struggling like Dortmund and Bayern Munich with that post-Champions League pre-international break schedule. That will just affect the minds, particularly of international players wanting to play for their country. They do not want to grab an injury and miss out on another cap, because they only have a limited time to play. So I'll say goodbye to this exercise once it gets to 4 o'clock. But it's picked us out a couple of matches from Portugal and France. There might be one or two from English League 1, English League 2, particularly any 0-0s that have a really good line of expected goals or shots on and off target. So we're just getting rid of all of this noise. Now we're into our territory. So this is a 0-1. Nothing much appealing there. Barrow and Grimsby. Nothing much appealing for me there. Fleetwood Town, Old Tommy, have been red carded, so we can say goodbye to any interest. What interests me was, as you can see yourself, 4 wins in 5 matches for Fleetwood. Might have seen an interest there. We've got a suspended market, so it might be one of our matches. Salford and Cambridge United, well, 3 consecutive wins, 4 wins in 5. Surely that draw might be vulnerable second half. That's what I'm looking for. Recent solid form and the avoidance of draws. Similarly, Bristol Rovers and Gillingham as well. 1.14 expected goals for the Gills And when you see a load of L's, there is a stronger need for a W, isn't there? Oh, the Helmand Sport and Young PSV. There we go. That typifies these lower tiers. Odds on favourite. Looking good for an equaliser. And it goes 0-2. Empoli ending up with the win against Catanzaro. We'll just clean up some of this as we await the second halves. Great job from Bayer Leverkusen today. And that 2-2. Is that still alive? Because I've just taken it off the watch list. As expected, really. It's all whether Bayern Munich can get the late winner. I'm expecting them to get a late winner. Maybe some substitutions, I think, just to bring some fresh legs on for some of the old war horses up front. Maybe that will get the win. But this is the time when these big guns, even at the most unexpected of odds, are going to cock it up. This has been a usual habit for Bayern Munich in these particular unique weekends. It's not been the first time. They had a late equaliser who it was? Schalke, I think it was. Luis Diaz is playing. We haven't had any substitutions yet. I would have expected some subs for Bayern Munich. They might start feeling the fatigue. Any expected goals? Well, it's second half very, very quiet on the expected goals front from both of these two sides. Is a slight concern. I do like to look at the shots inside the box or touches inside the box. Been very lacking in the second half. It's very much a post-Champions League pre-international break fatigued performance, isn't it? And looking at anything else inside the box, no. So pretty poor. I'm not going to be laying that draw straight away, but when I do that, Bayern Munich turn up with a 79th, 80th minute winner because they've just got a classier forward line. Even performing poorly, world-class strikers can get you out of jail. Bosun, hi. Yeah, I'll take a photo, Bosun, when I get there. I might bring a £5 sandwich back with me. See if I can sell it for £6 to a Russian in Pattaya. So wish me luck with that. Thankfully, I'm not staying in Starmer's Britain. I'll be in Guernsey. It's just as bad, though, to be honest. Huge problems with the cost of living. I do feel sorry for my poor nephews and nieces having to struggle. And they're all emigrating. My nephew Sammy's gone off to Australia. Niece Leanne's off to Vancouver. It's all because they can't live in Guernsey or love to live in Guernsey, but don't want to be paying £2,000 a month for a bed sit, quite literally. You're talking about living in your living room. That's how awful it is in Guernsey at the moment. I had to emigrate as well because of that. And if you're not willing to do banking work or trust work or 9-to-5 work, you're in a spot of bother. But back to the footy. Now, getting out with a third of liability as loss, as you can see, would have caught that underperformance from Como. Really, with Cagliari in mind, I suppose laying over 0.5 goals should have been on the menu. Is that draw going to be vulnerable? Can Medina finish the job? It's a pity I called it right, but I didn't lay Frosinone. I thought 1.5 was too high, but again, I should have done so because that would have got me out with a profit at least, with a shot at the bigger returns on Modena. But that's the kind of scenario you want late on. Have that one as a blueprint for you. 1, late momentum. 2, ideally this lit up with a box. 3, ideally this in bold. And ideally 1 or 2 of these starting to show. Or if you've got the guru, you can just change that to 5 minutes and make sure you've got a decent number of shots on and the shots off. They're not going to be huge, but if they align with everything else, it's a nice fit for a late goal. And there we go, another 3-1 for the mighty Hoff. As I told you in research, it is one of the signs of the apocalypse when the Hoff are putting together a run of 3-1 victories. We're not talking about random 3-1 victories here. We're talking about a run. The world has gone insane. Well done to the mighty Hoff. I think Leipzig might still have a say here, but the fun and games was really in the neutral element, wasn't it? Given the fact it's an over 2.5 goal league today. That's what Odds Checker was telling you. It's an over 2.5 goal league. No great interest in that one. Well done to the mighty Hoff. Don't need to be alerted anymore unless you wanted to, just for old lang syne, lay the Hoff at very short odds for a late collapse. And that might be of interest. Leipzig have been in really solid form. If ever there's going to be a side to take a goal off them, it's going to be Leipzig. That can't be right. I think this has been corrected. They should be far shorter at 3-1 than that with 12 minutes to go. So I'll wait, see if that has been corrected. Sounds wrong. It doesn't represent a good value play. 12 minutes to go, 2 goals up at home. Let's just see if we can get there eventually. Yeah, it remains 2-1 exactly. 3-1. The odds are ridiculous at 3-1, but at 2-1 could be gettable. Certainly within 1 goal with 12 minutes to go. They have been in brilliant form, Leipzig, of late. Really back to the very best. So you're going to get decent value. Chesterfield have come back against Accrington Stanley. Again, this is one I would have played had I not been squeamish about English League 2. The 0-2 lead. And then you get 1-2 at half time. So if you did follow that 0-2 entry point yourself, well done. Obviously, the market getting them right eventually. So that's where I would be getting involved in these lower leagues. In a scenario like this. 1.68 pre-match favourite. Now, the guru is starting to repeat it, and that's going to get on my nerves. Stop now. Good. Great scenario. Entry point. No, he's telling me Chesterfield, Accrington 2. I know, mate. I know. Thank you. You don't have to keep telling me. Thank you very much. You get a touch of the old tisms there. The in-play guru. Chesterfield 2, Accrington 2. 0-2 entry point. Excellent in these lower tiers if you can throw away the liability. If they turn up and deliver, you're going to get a really good one with